today we're talking about narrow rolled hems, and they are they're fun to do. So this is our rolled hem foot, and this baby came standard on my M7. A lot of our machines come with a rolled hem foot. It's a pretty standard foot to have, but I know they're a little bit intimidating. So hopefully today, by the end of today, you will have a better understanding of how to use them. Oh, Curtis, Ontario. I know exactly where that is. I've been there many, many times. So this cute little hem, let's show you what it does. So I've done it on a couple of different fabrics. You can use it for a lot of lightweight to midweight fabrics. You don't really want to use it for like a heavyweight fabric. It doesn't work as well, but I'll show you on my machine in a second, that there's wider ones that would probably work better with heavier fabrics. Hello, Michael. Okay, so this is on a sheer, I think this is just, what is this? It's a chiffon. It's a nylon chiffon, and it does a really great job of that. And I used a white bobbin thread. I have a couple different threads going on. And it folds it for you. So I don't know how many of you have tried to iron a narrow hem like this. It's very painful on the fingers. So this is a great alternative. And then I have this one, which I did a while ago, and it's the pink thread kind of blends in, and it's a broadcloth, so it's kind of thin for a broadcloth, so it's not very thick. And then I did one in a quilter's cotton, so that's the back where the hem is, and then the front. So one thing, there's a lot of different applications for these. I use it for, here, I'm going to scroll you up, protect your eyes if you get motion sickness. Okay, so this is a skirt that I made, and it's got a nice full kind of circle skirt. And I didn't want to hem it because I didn't want to hem it a traditional double fold because it was so much fabric. So I decided to do a rolled hem on it, and it turned out beautifully. It looks super professional. Oh, a little thread there. But it worked really well, and it made the process so much quicker because I did a little tiny ironing at the beginning, but then there wasn't a lot of ironing going on. So thank you. I really liked using that. So let's go over to the machine, and I'm using today, oh, protect your eyes. Sorry about that. I'm using my M7 Continental, which has this giant screen here, and we're going to set it up for rolled hem. So I'm going to the t-shirt application menu, and I'm going to go into rolled hems. This machine has it all figured out for you. And then in here you'll notice, let me adjust you a little bit. There are a couple different settings. We have a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch, and both these use our D foot. See, it even tells you what to do. I like that. And then we have this 4mm and 6mm. So this one, when we click on this one, it takes you to the D1, D2 foot. So these are other feet that you can buy for some of the machines. So the M7 Continental, it is compatible with that, but I also looked on our website, and on our website you can go into our Janome.ca, you can go into the accessories, and it'll give you a list of all of our accessories, and you can find the one you're looking for, and then it'll give you what machines is compatible with. So this one you can use the 4mm, the D1, D2 feet work on the Skyline S3 and S9, and the 9400 and the 9450. So those ones, and the M7 for sure it works with, and it gives you a deeper rolled hem, and that it makes it a little bit different. And you can get these from your dealers. They're optional accessories, and you can go to your dealer. If you don't know who your dealer is, on our website, janome.ca, you can search for a dealer near you, and many of our dealers are still open. Some are opening now to the public again, but if yours isn't open to the public yet, a lot of them are working behind the scenes, and then you can contact them and they can get things to you. So if you want one of these, you can get it for sure. And Liz is commenting that the D1, D2 are available for 7mm and 9mm machines. That's awesome. It's a lot of options there. Okay, so we're gonna go with the straight stitch today. The zigzag is kind of a nice decorative, but I like the straight stitch. And then we're going to go down to the machine. Sorry, a lot of movement today. This is it. I promise I probably won't move you again. Maybe. I might be lying. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna put the foot on the machine, making sure my threads are not caught in it. And then we're going to start a rolled hem. Applications for this, just in case you're thinking about what you can use it for. I see it used a lot for like napkins or the like hems on dresses, because if you'll notice, it kind of waves a little bit. So it's not great for necklines and armholes because how it works, you kind of get a wave in it a little bit. So it won't lie as flat all the time. So maybe definitely for the bottoms of skirts or the bottoms of shirts, it's a nice little detail. Okay, so to start a narrow rolled hem, there are different ways that I've seen people do it. I've been taught to do it, but I'm going to teach you the way that I find it works the best for me to get the best results. Definitely if you are hemming something before you've cut it to the right size, then you can start it a little bit differently. But when I'm hemming things, I want it as close to the edge as possible. So then I'm going to start by folding it over and giving it a little finger press, just like 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do that again so that I have the hem started. And I know some have you, can you see that like that? Sorry. So I fold it over twice, and some places or some people have you start with it flat and you stitch a few and then feed it through that way. But I find this gives me the best finish. So I'm just finger pressing over 2 times, about a couple centimeters. If it's more than that, you'll just have to adjust where you start feeding it into your roll, your little curve part here. And another thing to notice is when I'm feeding the fabric through, the curved edge is going up along this side of the foot. I'm not lining it up with this side. I'm going to keep it here. If I put it under here, then the depth of our hem will be a little bit different, but I keep it lined up along here. All right, so I'm going to put it under. I like to hand feed that first stitch in, and I hold onto the tails out the back because sometimes things get a little bit crazy. And then I put my foot down, and I'm just going to sew ahead a couple stitches. Yeah, see, it got a little crazy here. Of course, on the live. Okay, I'm a couple stitches ahead. Normally that doesn't happen all the time. Okay, and then what I like to do is raise the foot, and now you're going to try to feed the fabric up around this curve. So can you see in there? There's a little hole here. You want to feed it in and around the curve. So what I have found, and you'll have to play around with this on your machine, is that when I raise the foot and keep my needle down, and if it's in the right position, that I can just pull on the fabric back and this way, and it's going to sit in nicely. I don't really have to fiddle with it too much, just a nice gentle tug and put it in. And now it is around that curve, and I'm going to put my foot down, and then I'm going to straighten out again. And now when I start stitching, it's going to continue that curve around. But the big part about this is how I feed it into the machine. You don't want to pull it over here. You don't want it over here. You don't want to fold it tons, but you don't want to fold it just a little bit. You need to fold it just gently and let it be its guide. And I use my other finger over here to sort of just keep it on track. So I'm going to slowly start going. Now, if you have too much of a fold in, it's not that big of a deal. You'll just have sort of a little peak up on the inside. I've done it some here. I don't know if you can see back there. Is a few threads pulling, showing out, but it's those, well, you can trim up no problem. So I'm going to continue folding through and keep it nice and slow, not too big, not too small. Okay, and sometimes when you're doing, if you want to do a corner on these, I know you would feel like you could pivot at the end, but you want to sew off the end. And then there's a couple of different methods online to do it. You sort of have to play with how you fold it back under to start the next half. This is, and the end part you have to be really careful because it kind of gets crazy and they'll get sucked in there. But with practice, it gets a lot easier. So we finished that. I'm going to snip it. And then we've got a beautiful rolled hem with only finger pressing. So that goes really, like as long as you keep it nice and slow, you'll see here I have a couple threads and that's where I folded it over too much going into the machine. You can use this with some knits. I tried it. You really have to be careful about how much you pull it when you're going in because it'll stretch really easily. So if you're going to use it with knits, I would try it out first, and you might have to use one of those paper methods, you know, with the tissue paper. That might help a little bit as well. But if you're using it for rolled hem, I would suggest using a serger. A serger with a knit will give you a much nicer finish. You can go over seams. I've done it. I did it on this skirt. I'm not sure if I can find it for you. Okay, coming up here. I'm moving you again. So I did it on this skirt. It's not perfect by any means, but what I did was I trimmed my seam allowance first so that I wasn't going over a ton of the bulk in the seam so that it would go through easier. It looks good on the outside. The inside, it's a little bit, you have to practice a lot. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about what happens when things go off the rails. So easily when you're doing these rolled hems, I have this happen every once in a while, a lot. You get distracted for a second, or all of a sudden you're going too fast and you're off the edge. And you can see here, like I've lost my rolled hem here. It is disappeared. So what I suggest you do is when this happens, do not push through. I mean, you can do what you want, but I would highly recommend that you don't push through, that you stop and fix it right away. Sometimes I've tried it. So I've sewed and it's going wrong and then I get it back on track, which is great. But then when I come back to fix this, it's hard to go back in here and line it up here and get it right here. So what I suggest you do is find where you went wrong. So I would say right in here, it went really wrong, but I would say back here was the start of it. You want to go a few stitches back and you want to pick out those stitches. And I don't know, sometimes the project, the fabric will make these a little bit harder. So you have to play around with it. Like the chiffon is definitely, because it's slippery, you really have to go slow and really feel watch how you're threading it through or feeding it through, and keep an eye on it because it'll easily run away on you. So I'm going to pick out these just to that stitch where I said that I think that was probably one of our last good stitches, and unravel it a bit. Oh, I've got some flyaways. Let's just trim those up. Okay. So now what I do is I'm going to put it under my foot and start my needle in here. And then I'm going to feed it back through my foot like I did the first time. So I'm going to, you can't see that well. Let's see, can we get in there? All right, so I'm finding the one that was okay. Putting my needle in. I'm going to put my foot down. And then I'm going to sew a stitch just to get it secured. I'm going to lift my foot and then I'm going to try to pull it in. And it's not pulled yet. So what I'm going to do is one more stitch and then try that again. I find when it's right, see, it popped in right there. So I think that's exactly where I need to start. I'm going to put my foot down and we're going to go sew. And then continue on paying attention to how it feeds through the machine. That's part of the issue, is just always, you want this fold here, but you don't want it too generous. And when you When it gets away from you, it gets away from you. Okay, so I'm going to stop that and cut it to show you what happened there. Okay, so this is where I went back to start again. And look, it's from the back, it's pretty seamless. I have a little nest there because I didn't hold my tails. But other than that, I could trim those away, and it's a nice even hem for you again. But for sure, fix those up if you have any issues. Anyway, so that is our rolled hem foot. It's very easy to use. Like, don't be afraid of it. I know sometimes I look at some of the feet in my sewing box. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. So it's kind of cute because it's got a curl, but it'll become your best friend, especially if you're making a lot of skirts that require a lot of hemming. It's a beautiful finish. I'm going to turn you back around. Oh, I didn't show you me at all. Hi, guys. So that was rolled hems. We have a lot of other things coming up for the rest of the week. We have lives every day for you. So on Wednesday, we over on Janome HQ. If you haven't followed along there yet, go over there. There's a lot of great things happening over there, and we're doing lives over there at 1 p.m. And on Wednesday, they're doing sergers. Michael is presenting about sergers and the accessory guide. And then on Friday over there, they're also looking at the beading foot, which I know I'm really excited about. I've never done beading with my machine, so I think this is going to be really cool for me to join in and see about it because there's some beautiful beads out there. Thursday, here on Janome Canada, we're also going to be doing a live, I believe it's Michael too, he's busy, on blind hems and the overcast foot. So lots of information. If you're new to your sewing machine, definitely check these out because you're going to learn so many things about all the accessories that come with your machine. Yes, right, Liz. The rolled hem is great for tablecloths and napkins, and I've seen it used on like veils, on just providing a nice like hem on the veil and then beading attached to that as well. So really the sky's the limit once you learn how to use it, and it is a little bit of a process to learn how to set it up, but once you've got it, you're flying. Anyway, thanks for joining in today. It's been great to see you all again. Take care.